Hi, today we're going to be drawing this capybara. So these are animals that live in South America, and my niece, who's 10, just loves them. And we drew them the other day, and I thought this would be fun to do with you guys. So we did find out that we live in the southeastern United States, and she does too. And we found out there are capybara cafes opening up where you can go and pet one. So that's pretty neat. So this is it's one of the largest rodents, if not the largest rodent in the world. But we're going to go ahead and draw him. So we always start with the shapes you see. So looking at this guy, I see a very round oval here. And you'll notice that my picture is black and white instead of color. Part of the reason is because sometimes when you're drawing in pencil, if I were to draw all the detail and the shading, it would be easier to see since it's all gray instead of in color. But you can draw from a color print as well. It doesn't matter. My daughter even always used to draw just directly from looking at a screen. But I like having a printout because then I can show you the shape. So here is its body is this big oval, isn't it? And it's sort of tipping downward because its head is looking down. I see for its neck, not counting its head, its neck might be a rectangle. Do you see that? Its head is another oval, and then it's got these front legs are sort of like triangles almost. Okay, so we're going to start by drawing lightly. Let me leave him there so you can see. I'll draw mine right here. Scoot him up a little bit. So we're going to start by drawing him very lightly because I might want to change the size, or maybe I'm making him too big for my space. Or maybe these lines are more like guidelines and maybe they're not exactly in the right spot and I'll want to erase them later. So here I am. Do you see how his oval sort of going up this way just a little bit because his head is down? So I went upward just a little bit. Then I have his head coming down his neck. If we're not counting his head, his neck is not that big. About like that, isn't it? Do you see that? That's the shape here for his neck right there. And then his head is another sort of oval like this. I don't think these shapes are exactly right, but that's okay because I'm going to change them in a little bit. His legs, the front legs, are sort of triangle shapes. I can't see his feet on the front very well because they're in the grass. And then he has that one there. Look at this guy. And maybe I made his back go up too high, but that's okay. I'll figure that out as I come back. Right now I'm just trying to get his shapes on there. I see a little rectangle here. This is this back leg. A little, well, it's sort of a trapezoid. Do you know what a trapezoid shape is? It's bigger on one side and smaller on another. My son used to have a trapezoid game when he was little. And then there could be like a funny little rectangle there and then some lines. So I'm going to go back through and fix this, but I can see he's going to fit on my paper. And that's what I want these shapes to do. I want these shapes to help me place him, to give me a guide of where to start, so I'm not just starting with a line just somewhere. So I've got him on there. If you're still working on yours, just pause this video for a few minutes till you get your shapes on there, and then we'll keep going. All right. So now I'm going to pay attention more to where the lines are and how they're connecting. So I might start at his neck. I think I'm going to start at his neck, and it doesn't matter where you start, but I'm going to start here and work my way up. So I'm going to come up this way, and if you're having a little trouble like following the lines, one thing you can do is if you pretend you are like a little ladybug. If you've ever seen a ladybug crawl, I mean they're so tiny and so cute, and they just crawl along, right? If you pretend you're a little ladybug crawling along this edge that you see, And as you go, here you're crawling upward, and then you're going to go up a hump and down, and then it's going to sort of round out. And so my nieces and nephews, when we draw together, we say, be the bug. You want to be this little ladybug that's crawling along this edge. So if you're having trouble thinking about these lines and how they go, think about if you are a little ladybug crawling along here. Okay, so I'm going to start off here, and I'm going to crawl up here. See, I got that little hump there. And I'm going to crawl up here, curve over there. So, you know, I like this shape that I had started with. I don't think I'm going to change it that much. But maybe I will. I don't know. I drew it lightly enough I can change it. And then I'm going to crawl down here around the back of him. And now look, if I'm crawling along this leg, I'm sort of curving this way, and then I'm coming out a little bit, aren't I? And I didn't really do that here. I didn't come out. So see, I changed that a little bit. And I think his legs are too long. So maybe his back might be too long, because his legs aren't quite as long. If I'm the little bug crawling, I'm not going to have to crawl that far. This leg has a little bit of a curve in, just a little bit, and comes up there. So this leg is pretty long, which means, I mean, this, see how far much, it's pretty short compared to this one. This one's very long. So I may have to change, I have to bring his back down or his head up. So I'm going to just look. If I'm looking, I see that legs and those legs and his nose, they're all pretty even, aren't they? So if this is going to be the end of my leg, that's where the foot comes in. But look, I'm not too far off. His nose is pretty close. So I think these legs are more off, but his neck is okay. So that's where having a reference picture is very handy, because I can look at that and say, okay, he does have short legs. They are longer in the back. Do you see that? And shorter in the front. And if I put my pencil here, we can see that they are all, that's, sorry about all those dings. That's the other computer ding. I'm going to silence that really fast. I probably should have done that before. Okay, so there we go. So you can see that they're all even across. Okay, so that means this leg is I'm going to want this leg to be about the same, and these are going to be shorter too, but that's okay. As I'm crawling along as the little bug, I think I'll see that. Okay, so I'm on this leg, and look, it curves. Do you see that curve? So I'm going to curve here, and this curves this way. So look at that. That leg did get a lot shorter. I see I had made that one way too long at the beginning. Good to know. It's actually maybe even a little shorter than the other because it's behind, so it'll look like it's a little bit shorter. Okay, it's stomach, so I'm going to be the little bug, and I'm going to crawl that far. And I don't think I made enough room. My little bug's not crawling far enough, so I'm going to keep crawling. Crawl, 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 crawl. Crawl, crawl, crawl to about there. So that leg was not in a good spot. But then that's where that one comes down. And it's going to come, well, I want it to be, it is a little lower than these. Maybe just a little. So maybe something like that. But not as low as I had it. So maybe something more like that. But it is leaning back. There we go. And that's why having a reference is helpful, because I'm looking at all these shapes. Now, something else that is helpful is looking at the negative space. And negative space is the space between an object, or the empty space between objects. So this is the negative space. Do you see this shape in here between his legs? That looks like a little bird on the picture. I think that's a little bird. He's cute. So here this is the negative space. So I can try to make this shape look like this shape. So that's another helpful way to do it. And I can see that this should, looking at this shape, the inside negative space shape, I can see that should be a lot more slanty. There we go. Maybe a little bigger. Okay. Then we've got his other little leg. This is a curved line here too for that one, isn't it? And there is some negative space between them right there. See that little bit of space right there? So I can add that. Okay, moving on to his neck. Whoa, I need to bump the camera here. Okay, I'm going to come up here. I'm going to go back up to the top of his head. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to be the little bug. Crawling along here. Crawling down here. Curving around here. And moving up here. Okay, so here's this leg. It's just a tiny bit of neck before you get to his jaw. So I think that's about the right spot. His jaw would be right about here. This would be his jaw. Would be right about there. So that's another fun thing about looking at references, especially when you're drawing animals. You get to learn a lot about the animal anatomy. And look, we learned that the capybara has shorter front legs and longer back legs. I don't see a tail. I think they have very stubby tails. If a tail, I don't know. We should look that up. But look, they have tiny ears, and they have kind of sleepy eyes. Their eyelids they look like they're halfway closed, and they have this big nose right here in the front. So it's hard to see on my printout. And hopefully yours is better, but they've got these big nostrils right here. And then his eye. So how do we figure out where his eye is going to go? Well, I'm looking at him. I can't really see his mouth. It's under all that hair there. So if this is his nose, so I see his nose is kind of like that big. It's about sort of coming up like that. That's sort of his nose. And his ear, he's going to have one ear up here on his head, right? And the other ear over here on this side of his head. This one's looks like it's on top of his head. This one's inside a little bit. And his eye is close to that. So I would put his eye probably right about here. So sometimes when it's hard to place an eye, if you place the other things first, it might get easier. The nose was easier to place because it started down here. So I could work my way up. And the ears were up here. So that helps me determine where to place the eye. And now with the eye, I don't want him to look mad, but I'm going to give him a little catch light, just a little bit of, oh, he looks mad, a little bit of highlight in his eye. But I'm going to try to make him look more sleepy than mad. They always have their eyes kind of looks halfway open, so I'm gonna, there we go. That's a happier look for him. His little eye there. You can fix that up however you'd like. So then I don't need all these lines for his nose unless I want to shade him in. Which if we wanted to shade him in, let's see, it does have a little bit of a nostril showing there. You could shade in his nose a little bit. That's kind of gray. And I often will shade in with my finger like that. I don't know that I love his eye. Okay, so looking at his eye, I made mine even with that part of his ear, and it really should be even with the inside of his ear. So my eye is up too high. So I'm going to move that down a little bit. It's another reason why it's good to draw lightly at first to get things where you want them. So it should be more even with the inside of his ear. So I'm just moving my eye down a little bit. But I'm going to add that little catch light because because living things, when they are animals and things, when they are in the sunlight will reflect off their eye. There we go. I like that eye a little better. He does look like he's got a little bit of an eyelid there. There we go. Now he's looking a little more like that. I made this big part of his jaw. I don't need that. That was just to show you like where his neck would end. But if I wanted to, I could add all this fur to him. Could add lots of little furry lines where he's shadowy. I could add a shadow there. It's not quite as shadowy here. Add some grass because he's standing in the grass so we can't even see his little feet. I think he's about to eat some grass maybe. Do they eat grass? Probably. Probably they do. Can't see his feet, and his feet would be here, but we can't see them very well. This one we can sort of see. He's got some toes going on. I'm just going to add the grass. I can get rid of these lines. I can add some fur back here. I can shade this in, color it in with my finger. Look at his little dark legs now. These little dark legs where they're not really too furry right there. Add the fur going here. This leg is on this side. So I might do something more like that to fix that up. And then what you could do is you could add all this fur. So if you want to add fur, you want the lines to be going in the direction the fur is going. So I'm going to add fur like this, like as if you were there at that Capybara Cafe and you're patting a capybara. So at those kind of cafes, they just have them there wandering around for you to pat. So if you go to pat a capybara, how would you pat him? You would pat him probably down his back, and his fur would lay like this. It would lay flat like this. So that's how I would draw this fur if I were going to draw it all, which I probably won't today because these are just quick videos. But I would draw lots and lots of lines going this way. I would overlap my lines. I might shade them in a little bit like that. He gets very dark under here, under his stomach. It's a little darker. So you could shade that in a little more down there. And there is our capybara. So we started again with the shapes. And then we added the lines. We're the little bug. Be the bug. Go around the capybara. And then add in whatever shading or fur you want to add in. But you see all my lines are going this way. They're all going this way. Sometime we will take longer and get all this fur down. And we will do a video where you have lots of fur. But right now I want everybody just to be drawing every day, and great job. And y'all should post your capybaras or send them to me in an email. Great job. See you tomorrow.